Today on the build, we're going to turn all this flat bar here into stirrups, and we're going to use those for our footings on our garden shed. So what I've done here is I've measured up all the positions of the frame and numbered them, and then I measured the basic heights they were to the ground, and then decided on how far I was going into the ground. So that's what all those calculations are there. I worked out pretty much what I was going to do with each stirrup. So I've got this one here's the corner one, so we've got two this way and two the opposite hand, and this one will be the basic center ones where it'll just sit in here, and then we've got a little bit of a bit out the front here to support the outside piece. You can see our frame up here. We've got our hole here that we've dug. We've got our ground all around here. Now this part here is going to be a bucket upside down with the top cut off it. Our stirrup will be connected to the frame and level, and it'll sit down into the hole, into the bucket, and we'll fill this bucket up full of concrete, and that will give us a little bit of taper there, and then we'll fill the rest up just full of dirt. So I'm just going to set up my bandsaw here. I'm going to gang cut them as much as I can. I've got 3 pieces there at the moment. I got a clamp on the end there, just holding them together. The front there stays level. I'll just go through my cutting list and cut up whatever I can, gang cutting them as much as I can. Alright, I just thought I'd show you this so that you don't think that you have to cut one single piece at a time. Now I've got 4 bits here at 155, I've got a piece here at 140, and I've got these 2 pieces here turned around the other way, and I'm getting 155 out of that. So that way I can do one cut and I'm getting all these pieces out. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to economise on all my cuts and have as least off cuts as I can. Well, that's all the bandsawing complete, that's all the cuts. So now we need to grind them, grind all the ends off and get all the burrs off them. Then we can start setting up to weld all these stirrups together. Now we've got all our parts ground up, we need to start looking at drilling these side plates so we can screw them onto the frame. So there's these side plates here, and these ones here for the corner unit. So we'll do that on the mill. So we've got a pretty basic setup here. We've got a couple of packers in the vise. This centerpiece here is like a spring, and what's that's going to do for me is to stop my packers falling over all the time. So this is a piece of packing steel, it's like spring steel. You put that inside there, you just spread it out to what you need it to be, and it'll keep those side plates upright so they don't fall over on you all the time, and also that allows you to do up or undo the vise as well. So I'll put this plate in here, I'll use my ruler or something straight on the edge of the vise there to get my stop, and then what I'll do is I'll drill all these holes here, then I'll countersink all those holes there so I'm in the same position. Then I'll move up to this hole here, drill all those holes and countersink those, and same with this hole here. Now we have all the plates drilled out. I've put them into groups, and I'm going to make the tops for these sets here. One set will have 205 across here, and one set will have 155 across here. So I'll make those sets first. We're going to make the tops, then we're going to make the bottoms, and then we'll join the two together underneath there, because these are slightly wider than what these have been worked out to be. So we'll make these ones first, and then we'll go on and make these other tops second. I'm just going to be using my little stick welder. We're going to use the old GMC. I think it's 100 amp. I don't even know. Oh, 140 it says on the top here. I doubt that it is 140, but it says that. And we're just going to set the corners like this, and we're going to pretty much just fill this corner in. So I'll tack them all up first and do that for either side, and then we'll lay them over and just start filling these ends up. That way they won't snap off. I'm going to use 2.5mm rods because that seems to work nicely with this little welder. Alright, we've got the first one tacked up here, so we're just going to give you a bit of a test to see if it fits on there, and also it's to show you what I'm actually thinking. So we got this one here first, which is 200 because there's 4 lots of 50mm. Now I've made these 205 to give us a bit of you know, a bit of error. See these gaps in here? So that's going to sit up, but it's going to go underneath here and up either side. Alright, so they're going to go up underneath and then screw in the sides like that, and then it's going to hang down. It's going to hang down into the dirt, into the stirrup. Now there's going to be a front piece welded on here as well to support the front beam. So essentially, if you think that that's underneath, that will sit on there. Then we'll have another piece of this bar coming out here, and that will support this part of the frame as well, and make this part and support this part. All right, so that's what we're looking at with these stirrups. Okay, I've just welded these two up, ready to go. These are the two larger tops. Welder's not going too bad. It's laying some nice welds on there. I don't normally stick weld, so they're a bit rough, but I'd say by the end of this I'll be fairly good. And then we just lay a couple of welds across there. See, this will be the underside. This is where the stirrup is going to go. It's going to come up this way, so we're actually upside down, if you know what I mean. And then that way, with the corner welded out like that, we don't have any weld up in the inside corners to stop the sleepers coming in right to the bottom there. So I've made all the tops now. They're all welded together. So now we need to look at the actual stirrup that's going to get welded underneath those. I've got a little jig made up here. This distance here will be about 180, and the bucket should finish about here, so that gets me 2 stirrups inside the concrete. These 2 bits here are just square to each other, and they're clamped off onto each other there. Now this piece here is just so that I can see that this side here isn't wandering off or anything like that, so I can just keep my basic distance in here. So I'll go around, I'll tack around the edges there, and then tack this one last. Okay, that's all our stirrups tacked up, so I'll tack them onto the corresponding heads, and then we'll fully weld everything up so they're ready to be gal painted. There's all our parts all welded up now, so they're ready to get pressure cleaned to get any oil and grease off them, because I used a bit of oil on the bandsaw, and then I'll use some cold gal paint, probably do a couple of coats of that so we don't get any rust. I've used the welder to number all the stirrups there, so I know where that needs to go, because they're all different heights and all different positions. That's all their frames painted up with the gal paint. We've all had a couple of coats, so they're ready to go onto the frame and into the ground, and have some concrete put around the base of them. So if you like what we're doing here at DM Engineering, click that subscribe button down there, and we'll see you next video.